Good evening, Patriots, and welcome to another episode of WalkAway with Brandon Straka. I'm your host, Brandon Straka. Thanks for tuning in. We have actually a really jam-packed show tonight, which I'm super excited about. We have a whole slate of amazing guests. So we're going to get into the show really quickly. There's just a couple things. We're going to do a little housekeeping to get started. First of all, I wanted to catch you up a little bit on the latest goings on with the WalkAway March on Washington weekend, which is October 26th through the 28th in DC. It's going to be an incredible weekend. On the 26th, we're doing a gala dinner at Trump International Hotel. So here's some new news for you that you may not know. One of our keynote speakers for the evening at the gala dinner is going to be Dinesh D'Souza. I'm very excited about this. Dinesh has become a new friend over the past couple of months. He's an amazing man. He has an amazing movie out called Death of a Nation. He has a lot of really, really incredible documentaries that tell the truth about American history, the history of the Democratic Party, what's really going on in government, all the things that, you don't really learn about truthfully in the history books or our education system or in the news. So I highly recommend that you see Dinesh's new film, Death of a Nation. It's incredible. And you'll be able to see him live in person speaking if you attend the gala dinner at Trump International on October 26th, Friday, to kick off the March on Washington weekend. The next thing that's going to happen is the march and rally on the 27th of October, which is Saturday. We're actually going to be marching from the Capitol building to the Washington Monument. Now, some of you might be saying, that sounds a little different than what you had been saying before. True. Well, we are working very closely with a production team, which is really great because this production team is ensuring that everything goes off without a hitch. They're the ones ensuring that the whole production is going to be telecast, that we'll have giant screens there where everyone can see and hear, and it's going to be an incredible experience. But they're also the ones who are ensuring that, our route goes off without a hitch. And so they've been working with the city of DC with our original plan, which was to walk away. Sorry, it still cracks me up. From the DNC to our nation's capital so that we would be walking away from the Democratic Party. Well, as it turns out, it's a great idea in theory, and the symbolism of it, I think, of course, is wonderful. But the truth is, for purely logistical reasons, we couldn't get more than 300 people legally to be able to assemble in that space to move. And we already know that there's going to be far, far more than 300 people at this event. So we had to make a choice. Do we want to walk away from the Democratic Party, or do we want thousands of people to be able to live and march safely? And we erred on the side of safety and what was life affirming. So we're going to be marching instead from the Capitol building to the Washington Monument. And then we're closing out the weekend on October 28th with our closing brunch also at Trump International. Now, let me tell you guys a few things that you may not know yet. So I want to go ahead and give you a list, which is it's a living list. There's going to be more names released as we go on, but these are our confirmed attendees so far. So you're hearing it here first. I haven't yet released this information. You will be hearing speeches from Dinesh D'Souza, Stacey Dash, Buzz Patterson, Pastor Mark Burns, Joy Vila, Scott Pressler, Bill Mitchell, Mark Lutchman, my guest from last week, Magdalene Rose, the 18-year-old conservative girl who blew all of our minds. She broke the internet with her intelligence and poise and sophistication. This girl is wise behind her years. I think she's the voice of a future generation. She's just out of high school, and she's smarter than most people in their 30s and 40s and 50s. This girl is so bright. And newly added to the roster is Zach Hing. And I'm really excited. And you're going to get to know Zach tonight because he's my second guest on the show tonight. Zach is amazing. He made an incredible walkaway video. He blew me away. This guy has everything. He's good looking, he's smart, he's intelligent, and he has incredible things to say. And you're going to get to know him a little bit better a little bit later in the episode. So I wanted to take a moment and ask you guys if you could please consider making a contribution to our Patreon account, which is you'll find in the description of the show. And it's in the comment. Is that right, Rob? The Patreon? The comment below. Sometimes he speaks to me with his hands, even though he could actually just speak. Speak to me. I'm in a good mood tonight. I'm like in a really good, I'm like, you know, when you're so deliriously tired that you're just actually in a like really slap happy mood. That's how I feel tonight. And plus my guests are amazing. I have the best guests tonight. I'm so excited to get into this. So let's go ahead and do that because like I said, we have a full slate tonight. My first guest is such an interesting guy. He's been around for a while. He was actually a former Black Panther, if you can believe. And now he is a conservative. He's a religious man, and he's an author. He is a motivational speaker. He's a conservative spokesperson. So that's a lot of stuff, right? So let's find out a little bit about how this guy went from that place of being a Black Panther. He'll be the first to tell you. We're going to talk to him in a minute. He'll be the first to tell you he went through a phase of his life where he was virulently racist. He'll tell you he hated all white people, and I don't think that's the case today, and we're going to find out why. Let's show a short clip. This is from a documentary that Mason Weaver did years ago that gives you a little bit of insight into a story, a little bit of background. Let's show that short clip, and then we're going to talk to the man himself. Rob, can we see that?
He was a likable young man with a promising career in the Navy in the early 1970s. But the cruelty of racism led 21-year-old Mason Weaver to experience a tragic event that would undeniably change his life forever.
I grew up in a godly home. My grandfather was a minister in St. Louis. He was a very well-known minister. My mother was a preacher's daughter. I got to see a godly man after church. I got to see a godly man deal with his family, deal with his wife, deal with his problems. And what I saw stuck with me even when I left the home and went in the military. I ran across people who didn't love God. And I ran across a racist shipmate who hated me. And I knew what hatred was, but I didn't know he hated me. I thought he was just a competitor, not an enemy. He was a white racist on the ship, and I was a black racist on the ship. And every day we have debates. We have a debate about black, white America. And I was getting the best of him. To me, it was just playtime. I didn't take him seriously. One day, I had to fly to San Francisco, and I was ordered to give this man my work crew, all black crew, black militants. He was a white racist to take off my work crew. They would kill him. And the ship knew that. So I decided to lay out the work ahead of time and give everybody assignments so that he could just come in and supervise. He didn't want to help me. I was his superior by 2 months. So I ordered him. The room is empty, just me and two other supervisors, him, another black guy. I needed help bring the steel plate out to lay out the work, everybody. So I ordered him to help control that steel. I put my enemy in charge of 2,800 pounds, and he took the opportunity to push it over on me. And I saw him put his shoulder to it. I saw him push it. I turned to run as he did it, and as I ran, it hit me on my left hip, crushed my hip, my ribs, and I screamed. And opened my eyes up, as I was screaming, I saw the look of pure hatred in his eyes. I looked right in his eyes, and I saw that the look, the hatred. I've been to Vietnam, but I've never seen a man look at another man that way before. That look he had in his eyes stayed with me for years, that look of utter contempt. And I was rescued by 8 white guys. Didn't matter. I now hated all white people. I hated everything white. I didn't want a white dog. When I got hurt, I went to Balboa Hospital in San Diego. They told my mother that to get to the hospital from St. Louis because I wasn't going to make it.
I mean, is that not unbelievable? I mean, that's wow. And so what happens next, I think, is riveting. And so I want to find out, let's find out more about the man himself. Mason Weaver, welcome to the show tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Mason, how are you?
I am never politically correct, but I'm always politically right.
Yes, you are, Mason Weaver. I know that to be true. It's good to be talking with you. And so Mason and I connected on the phone a few weeks ago. I got to know the man a little bit better and hear a little bit more about his story. I was dying to share his story with my viewers here. And so Mason, let's kind of pick up there. So you're in the Navy. You're on a ship with this racist shipmate. He dropped these metal sheets on you, which ended up crushing your hips, your pelvis, I believe. You're in the hospital. What happens next?
Well, it was, I'm listening to that video, and every time I see that video, I get emotional. I lettered in 3 sports a year. I was very healthy, which saved my life. I had a great career ahead of me. I wanted to get out and do things, and next thing you know, I'm laying in the hospital bed, unable to speak. I couldn't even speak. My vocal cords, vibrations hurt my back.
Oh.
I couldn't eat. I couldn't look up. I could do nothing but lay on that bed and look up at the ceiling. And I hated everything white. Even though my doctor was white, the 8 white guys rescued me. It did not matter. My physical therapist was white. I got out the Navy. I went to my uncle's home in Northern California, Berkeley, and he was going to college. I went to a little small college in Oakland called Merritt College, and I took a class of sociology by a guy named Melvin Newton. And Melvin Newton was the older brother of a gentleman named Huey Newton. And I got associated with that family, or with the organization, the Black Panther Party, and I had a voice, and I started hanging with other angry black men. We were angry because the white man owed us something. And I brought it into the philosophy. I brought it to the fact that America owed me something. Not only did they owe me something, I was going to sit on my black butt until America gave me what they owed me. I wasn't going to work. I wasn't going to earn a living. And everyone around me was saying, the white man got me down. The white man got me down. And I finally had to come to the conclusion, how did he get me down? What is it about the white man that I can't work? So I had to give that up and work my way through that. And that journey made me who I am today.
Okay, but let's back up just a little bit. So you're in the Black Panthers, and you said you're with other angry black men. So
yep.
How did you feel being around in that kind of energy? Did you find peace? Did you find some sort of relief from your anger and what you were feeling in that type of environment?
Here's the thing about the male ego. If you can convince a man that another man controls his income, controls his women, controls his ability to take care of his family, if you can convince him that you have no power over that man, your male ego will justify, why go and get a job? The white man controls everything. Why take care of your woman? The white man controls everything. I might as well sell dope because the white man took everything else. And your male ego will react in a very negative way for the community. So in my heart, you ask me, how did I feel? I felt it was a lie. I felt it wasn't true. In my heart, I knew it wasn't true. I knew that everything black men thought we can do, we dominated. So I had to ignore what I knew was true and accept the lie when I knew it was a lie. I was able to take care of myself, but I just didn't want to admit that I was succumb to this white man power.
Okay, so what year are we talking about in general? Like around what time? What year was this?
1971, August 11th, 9:05 in the morning. I had a ton and a half of steel fall on me. 1968, I joined the Navy the same day Dr. King was murdered. I laid in the hospital. I dropped out of high school to go in the Navy. So I laid in the hospital bed, August of 71, black, poor, high school dropout, and disabled. And I lay in that bed thinking, what am I going to do with myself? The white man took everything from me, I thought. The white man controlled my destiny, I thought. And I went and hung around other angry black people because that's how it was. And the solution will save America. What I found was what redirect this anger, frustration. Liberalism, I was a good liberal. I worked for Ron Dellums. I volunteered for Pete Sluck, Ron Dellums, and George Miller. I campaigned for Alan Cranston. I was a good Berkeley radical. And that anger, frustration, you have never seen a happy liberal. You have never seen a happy liberal. When's the last time you saw Maxine Mercury-Water smile? You've never seen.
Well, I think she kind of sneers. I mean, that's right. That's close.
When's the last time you saw Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson smile? They can't smile. Cody Books. They're angry and frustrated. It's a very immoral, deep, dark belief system. It is abusive. Liberalism is abusive. You must believe that there be no air, there be no water, that people are against you, the corporations are against you. Their whole message is that they hate you. I'm going to fight you for them. It's all negative, depressing, and angry. You will never see a happy liberal.
But okay, but Mason, let's like unpack some of this a little bit, because if we go back to we look at what you're talking about in the proper context, we're talking about circa 1968, 1971. White people were, white people were really out of line. I mean, don't you think? I mean, don't you think that Black people had a right to be angry about the state of affairs during that time?
I don't know. If I had white people here in this town I live in now that told me I couldn't play basketball, I couldn't get a job, I couldn't do anything. I lay in a hospital bed. I was at Berkeley before affirmative action. I got 4 college degrees in 3.5 years. I got a job with the Department of Energy as a senior negotiator. White folks tried their best to get my job. It's called competition. So yes, if I want to sit down, guess what? Black men dominate the NBA, and white folks didn't want us playing. Black men dominated the NFL. White folks didn't like us doing that. We dominated pimping, selling dope, and rapping. And white folks didn't want to do that. We as men, you and I as men, can dominate anything put our mind to. I don't care who don't want me to do this. There are folks in town that don't want you to march on DC, but you still gonna go, want you?
Mason, I think there's very little I could dominate you in. You definitely you have a fighter's spirit. I wouldn't want to go against you in an alley, that's for sure. I do want to ask you, okay, so what was the transition point for you? So you're in the Black Panthers, you're feeling anger, you're around other men who are angry like you are, and then what happens?
I wanted to win. I went to Berkeley to learn how to make money. I was a capitalist. I wanted to learn how to earn. I didn't care who liked me, who didn't like me. Now, the Black Panther Party in its origins had a valid reason to be the Black Panther Party. The cops in Oakland were out of control. And we took over Oakland, and you couldn't find dope dealers, you couldn't find prostitutes. But then that money came in for the meal program, and we started going thuggish because too much money in the community. I realized eventually I had to get out and compete. And I thought I was quite capable of competing. But what really had to happen, folks, all this Black anger, all this liberal guilt, all this safe spaces, what really needs to happen in America is forgiveness. I had pledged to kill this white guy. I had pledged to murder him. I was going to go to jail. I expected to spend all my life in jail. The only power I had was to forgive him of what he had done to me. And when I forgave him, when I actually forgave him, the weight of that steel plate was lifted off of me. Wow. I realized that my anger was heavier than 2,800 pounds. My anger was keeping me down. I had to leave it alone. And that is the only biblical solution, forgiveness. When I forgave that white dude, I was healed. I wasn't in pain anymore. I mean, instantly, brother, I was still taller. And you'll see in that documentary it's called The Power of Forgiveness. When I forgave him, how can I compete in America when 80% of the folks here are not Black? If I hated 80% of people in this country, right. I want to compete. And what happened, my heart changed. I had a spiritual heart transplant, and I began to go out in this world and took my space in this world regardless of who did not like me. Guess what? Folks still don't like me.
Mason, I want to ask you a question, though. You're bringing up the topic of forgiveness. And listen, what happened to you is right up there among, I think, some of the most one of the most terrible things that somebody could possibly do to you. And I watched in that documentary, you made the comment, I had to forgive him even if he wasn't ready to be sorry yet. How on earth, yes. Help all of us understand, how can you forgive someone who isn't even sorry for what they did to you?
That's probably the only way you can forgive him. You see, once you recognize that God Almighty came to earth and was born a woman for you by name personally, and he went on that cross for you by name personally, and came out that grave for you, you don't own you. So when that dude, when Jesus taught his disciples how to pray, he gave them the whole prayer, the Lord's Prayer we call it, and he went back to cover one verse. He thought it was so important, he went back and he covered one verse. He said, if you do not forgive your trespassers, your Father in heaven will not forgive you yours. And I had a whole lot to be forgiven for. It was personal and selfish. I want to be forgiven. And that's the only power I had. What was I going to do? You know, in World War II, we forgave the Germans and started trading with them. In World War II, we forgave the Japanese and started trading with them. We got Japanese cars all over America now. We have to forgive and move on. So I have to forgive that white man, that slave master. Real or imagined. I didn't want affirmative action. Don't give me no fish. You can't outfish me. So I just wanted you to get out of my way and let's go and take this country back ourselves as Americans. Stop dividing me by my race. Stop telling me I'm so weak. You got to protect me from being racist. You don't have to protect me from somebody hurt my feelings. You kidding me? I'm 68 doggone years old. I can take care of my own feelings. I don't need safe spaces. I don't need segregation. I need to get out and knock my head against your head and compete. And when we get to where we're going, if you win, I slap you in your back and I beat you next time. If I win, you high five me and try it next time. That's called being American.
So Mason, how is it that they're still able in 2018 to do this to us? How is it they're still able to use race as such an effective tool to keep us divided, to keep us separated? Why do we keep falling for it, Mason? Why does this keep happening?
A couple of reasons. You guilty white folks, stop doing that. Please stop being guilty. Stop. Slavery is over. I've checked. You're not owning any slaves. And secondly, liberalism is a very abusive system. You have to accept the belief that you are helpless and hopeless. So black people and liberals in general accept the concept they cannot do anything on their own. And when you go to them, Brandon, and say, you can be free, what you're saying to them is that you can be free of master's food. He gives them the shelter, he gives them the food, he gives them the warmth, and you're saying to them, leave that bowl. They get their food from the bowl. They hate you because they think you hate them by discussing freedom. So what has to happen in America, we have to get back in control of our schools, start teaching our kids this, it's not a white thing, it's not a black thing, it is the American culture. Anybody that understands the American culture will be successful. You raise your kids to be successful. You raise your community. Men will start marrying women and raising kids themselves. Ladies, your greatest gift to your children, the greatest gift you have to your children is your trust of who daddy going to be. And if you start doing those things, we will make a nation that it cannot be defeated. And we are going to do that. I'm going to be in Washington marching and kicking cans over if I have to. I want to declare to the world, I am free because I'm here in America.
I know. I see the people that might produce. Everyone's got their hands up like this right now. Mason, did you ever think of running for office? Is that something you ever considered?
Well, you can probably see the sign back here. I did ran for Congress in California in 2010. I ran before that in 2004. I ran for the state representative. I was the second vice chair of the Republican Party in San Diego County, where they all love me. And I'm thinking about maybe running again one more time. I think about trying to challenge one of these liberal Democrats in these all-black districts and maybe speak about what Trump said. What do you have to lose?
That's right.
Beating you, still, there are poverty pimps. Every ghetto in America is owned by liberal Democrats. Every ghetto. Right. And the poorer you are, the stronger they are in power. They say they're the party for the poor. No, they're the party for poverty.
You know, Mason, you made a comment earlier about the education system, and the first thought that came into my head was a story that I read. It's been a little while ago, months ago, but it was about a little, I think he was Mexican Hispanic boy, went to school. He was in kindergarten, like 5, 6 years old, whatever. And he came home from school in tears. And he went to his mother and he said, Mommy, are white people better than me? And she said, what? And he said, well, in school today, they were teaching us about, tolerance and diversity. And we were learning about white privilege. And I learned that white people are more privileged than me. Is this true? Are they better than me? And this mother, thank God, was outraged and went to the school to rip them a new you-know-what, because she said, do not tell my son that there are people in this world that are better than him or more valuable than, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I don't believe in white privilege, but I do believe in the American privilege. We have an American culture here. It is the best culture the world's ever seen. And if you adhere to the gang culture or the drug culture, or the getting baby mama pregnant culture, if you adhere to that, you're going to be broke in America. But if you adhere to the culture of capitalism, why do rich people call it cash flow and poor people call it making dough? Different concept. There is no privilege except American privilege. And if you adhere to that, you're going to be successful. But what the liberals want to do is divide you by your differences. And they get and you get tired of being beaten down by your differences. And what you did, you started a movement because you stood up and said, hey, the emperor has no clothes.
That's right.
And we're going to get out of here. We're going to go get ourselves. But what you have to understand, Brandon, you have created a movement. People are leaving slavery. They're leaving oppression. But you have to have a place for them to come to. You got to build a place for them to get, because they're going to leave their friends. They're going to leave their co-workers. They're going to leave their family. They're going to leave, and they're going to be by themselves. And they also don't trust us because they've been told how bad we are.
That's right.
A safe
That's
place.
right.
Miltonite, you can go to an abused woman and tell her she's being abused. She knows she's getting that butt whooped. You ain't got to tell her that. And the cops come, she'll fight the cops until she gets enough. And she'll pour hot grease on him at 3 o'clock in the morning and take those kids in her pajamas and run out the house. You had better have a safe place for her to come to. We call it unshackled. And we're trying to build that place. We need a place for these liberals to march to so we can love them and hug them and feed them and clothe them and bring them back to American culture.
I love that. That's what, well, in the Walkaway campaign, that's why I kind of opened it up to people on both sides, because we have the walkaways, but we also have what we call the walk withs, which are the people in the center or on the right who are there to sort of welcome these people who are leaving left, because you're absolutely right, Mason. It happened to me. I mean, I lost almost all of my friends after. And let me just tell you too, for anyone who doesn't know, when you have an experience like this, it's called being red pilled. When you have your eyes open to the truth about liberalism and the liberal media and the Democratic Party, what's going on, it is unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life. I mean, it makes you, you go through a period of time where you feel like you're crazy. You're like, everything you think you believed in, it turns out you have to question everything. You have to kind of start all over. And yes, you absolutely need a network of support, people who are going to be there for you when you're going through that. But I want to ask you, Mason, because you've brought up these the topic of the plantation, and you wrote a book called It's Okay to Leave the Plantation. What does that mean? Well,
you know, the fact is, what you have to go through, you're living in an environment where everyone says you're a slave. The focus on the plantation is to be the best slave on the plantation. The idea of freedom is negative. Master says, those white folks up north are going to give you a job over a black man. You're going to starve. You're going to die. Your mother left last year. But and what you're doing when you reach them and you prick your heart about freedom, you have to admit, everybody you've listened to has lied to you. Every hero you look up to has dishonored you. You have to admit that your mother, your father, your leaders, your preacher has lied to you. I'm an only child with 6 siblings because I left the plantation. You have to be willing to leave everything you have. So leaving the plantation is very difficult. And in my book, I point out how I walked away, how I stepped. This book came out in 1996. It's in the 4th edition now. How I discovered who I was as a man, a male. And I had to have my male ego put me through this stuff. I went to Berkeley with 35,000 white students. I still do not know one white student's name. I was so hateful. I was so mean. I mean, if you had met me, I would have frightened you. Speaking Swahili, had my dashiki on and my African beads on, and I was into it. But I finally realized I was a grown man, and nobody had the power to keep me be successful but me. But I had to walk away. I actually got snatched away.
Mason, so we've seen in the last year, African-American support for our president has gone from 15% a year ago to over 36% today. What do you make of this?
Well, imagine what the real statistics are if you got with the Lion Press. Don't forget. Folks, if the press had some information, if they had power, Hillary would be president. 75% of Black people live outside of poverty. 75% of Black people are earning money. That means that 75% saw their tax increase, the tax decrease. 75% saw their 401k jump up 30% this year. 75% of Black people are taking care of their family and their kids, and they want to compete. And that's why you see Trump's numbers going up, regardless of what they say, what they do. No one cares. Trump is a thug. Trump is the first capitalist rapper. He is saying, I got mine, boy, you can get yours too. And we're saying, yeah, you know what? We can get ours. We don't care what kind of women he had. We don't care what he said in the background. We do not care. Give me my money.
Mason, I'm going to have you back on again, and we're going to talk for a full hour when you come back on next time. Because we have so many guests tonight that I know I have to move on, but I could talk to you forever and ever. So let me read a few comments that people are leaving right now. Invincible Summer says, "This man is amazing." Actually, it's just like a whole slate of amen, 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 amen. I think maybe you should be a preacher, that you're getting lots of amens. Yeah, Mason, you have a really remarkable effect on people, and I know it because I'm feeling it too. You're so inspiring. You're so powerful. Your message and your energy just penetrates through. Let me just ask you here, put you on the spot in front of everybody who's watching. Mason, will we see you at the WalkAway March on Washington?
If you look very carefully, you see this tall, handsome, black man delivering the truth right between the lines.
In Washington, right? That's where we'll see him.
In DC. Yes, sir. I'll be there with bells on. Well, no bells, but I'll be there anyway.
Yeah. You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. Mason Weaver is going to be at the WalkAway March on Washington weekend with us. I mean, if you love what you just heard right now, imagine getting to spend the afternoon with Mason, being in the presence of Mason Weaver, and the things you're going to hear and the energy that you're going to feel being in the presence of this man. Mason, thank you so much for coming out tonight. I really am going to have you back again. We're going to talk for a full hour next time. How's that sound?
Yes. Have
a great night, Mason. Thank you so much. Thanks for being with us. Wow. I love that guy. That was amazing. Amazing. Yeah, so Mason's going to be with us at the WalkAway March on Washington. He's going to be one of several amazing, incredible speakers that we're going to have. So guys, listen, go to walkawaymarch.com. That's where you're going to find out up-to-date information. We're constantly going to be updating that site. You'll find out the information that you need to know for the WalkAway March on Washington. That's walkawaymarch.com. And when you go there, there's a link, if you look around on the website or scroll up on your phone, to eventbrite.com. When you go there, make sure you click on Eventbrite, even though, of course, there's no charge to go to the march or the rally. If that's open to the people. But we would like as many people to register as possible so we could get even the most basic minimum head count for how many people are going to come. And there's some exciting news, too. A lot of people have been asking about transportation, busing. They'd like to come, but they're not sure, how they're going to get there. We are in the process right now of looking into some busing options for people in the nearby state area. We're going to be announcing that within the next few days. We're looking to work with a travel brokerage firm that's going to actually provide affordable transportation to people who want to get to the march but don't have transportation. So that announcement will be coming soon. And in the meantime, make sure you keep checking in on walkawaymarch.com and register, please, for the events at eventbrite.com. And that link is in the WalkAway March on Washington, our walkawaymarch.com website. So my next guest, I'm very excited about. This kid is amazing. He's a kid to me because, I'm of a certain age at this point. I'm not exactly sure how old he is, but he's a kid to me. So I saw his WalkAway video and I was blown away because, first of all, he's amazing. I mean, he's, like I said before, he's good looking, he's articulate, he has a great story to tell, he has a great message. And one of the things that really struck me was how much his story sounded like mine. I was watching his video and I was like, wow, I think this is the closest to my own personal WalkAway story and video of any of the WalkAway videos that I've seen. I was like, he is just telling my own story right back to me. So I'm really excited to talk to him. Let's take a look at his WalkAway video first. This is Zach Hing.
How's it going, everybody? Zach here, and I'm back with a video for you today. As you probably have figured it out by the title of this video, this is going to be my WalkAway story about how I was raised conservative and then I became a Democratic Party supporter and a liberal social justice warrior, as it's evidenced in my previous video. And I want to talk a little bit about my journey, kind of just transitioning away from that and why I decided to walk away from liberalism and the Democratic Party. What started it all was the Milo Yiannopoulos protests at Berkeley. And that was in basically my neighborhood. Berkeley's just down the street. It's a town that's close to Oakland. And it made me investigate that a little bit. And as probably a lot of other people who are embracing, a different idea now, whether it's more conservative or anything, which is where I'm at now, is more of a conservative standpoint. It made me kind of just really, really take a look as to why this guy is generating so much controversy. And I really, really listened to what he had to say. And of course, with that, I discovered other people like Ben Shapiro and Dave Rubin and a lot of other folks. But I didn't get there because I was just looking on the internet. Over time, I had felt pretty disenfranchised with the Democratic Party, and that there were a lot of promises to help minorities and to help fight racism and everything, yet nothing's been done in the past few years. I had voted for Hillary in the 2016 election, and had seen, and that was kind of like right around the end when I was a social justice warrior. I had just finished college and was thinking about that, but then I started to investigate it further. Liberalism on college campuses and social justice has basically put the blame on everybody else. And the thing is, of course, I mean, that's how you would feel if you're a minority in America, is you're going to want to hear that and go, yeah, my struggle, I am oppressed because of somebody else. When in reality, that's not the case.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the show Zach Hing. Zach, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, Brandon. Thank you so much for inviting me on your WalkAway show. It truly is an honor to finally speak to you, somewhat in person, I might add, but we're not direct yet, but one day.
Well, one day soon, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. But no, Zach, it's amazing to be speaking to you too. And I saw your video. I was blown away. I mean, to be honest, I get blown away every time I see a WalkAway video, but yours really resonated with me because what you were describing and many of the things that you experienced were so directly relevant to things that I've felt and seen and experienced. And I have to tell you, this that episode at Berkeley, I mean, that was I think that was a real red pilling experience for a lot of people. I hear so many people say
Definitely
that they live in the Berkeley area, and that thing with Milo, it doesn't even matter if you like Milo or not, or how you feel about it. It's about that kind of reaction to free speech. I mean, what do you think about that?
I just think that right now we live in a period in America where tribalism is more evident than ever before. And this was also pointed out by Mason Weaver very, very amazingly. Berkeley has always been ground zero for that kind of a thing. He had mentioned he was a Black Panther. The Bay Area has always been a hot spot for that. What I think about right now is that even in something like the academic institution like Berkeley, where it's supposed to be a breeding ground for open ideas and open thoughts, it's a little bit of the antithesis, when somebody with what they would call different ideas and different thoughts come on board and all of a sudden he's being protested at. I think it's crazy. I think it's absolutely outrageous. But what's amazing about it is the fact that something reactionary like that is always going to, I think, incite people to go investigate it further. And that's exactly what happened to me and so many other people, as it was evidenced in so many WalkAway videos, was like, this guy's not so bad. I mean, I went and checked it out. I don't agree with everything that he says, but the fact that he's silencing him over, free speech, his First Amendment right, is crazy.
That's a really good point that you just made too, because I feel like there's this shift that's kind of taking place in the world right now where everything on the left has gone to such an extreme that it's really opened people's eyes, I think. And it's made it, I think, much more difficult for a lot of people not to start asking questions. Part of my own red pill experience was because the way that the media was constantly bombarding us with stories about their portrayal of Donald Trump. I mean, you would honestly think that like somebody cloned Hitler and conjured him up in a seance and like brought his even worse doppelganger back. And so I had to start asking questions and be like, what's going on? But it would, if not for that extreme thing that the media did in the way that they portrayed him. I mean, if they had been a little bit normal, in the way that they portrayed him, I would have just been like, yeah, this guy's a schmuck, whatever. But it's like they go so overboard. And the same reaction at Berkeley. Everything has gone to such an extreme at this point that I think it's the Great Awakening is really guided along, I think, by the extremity of the behavior of the left. Don't you think?
Absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the point perfectly when it comes to how people are being portrayed, especially like our president right now. That's the interesting thing. And that's, I think, where it starts to hit people on a personal level as far as their moral compass is concerned, because all of a sudden, aside from censorship and disagreement, we now have violence. And I think for a lot of people, that is that moment where it's like, okay, wait a minute. You have Antifa lining up in front of Berkeley and literally setting things on fire, breaking stuff and hurting people. All of a sudden now there is this shift of like, what we disagree with is now going to turn into, well, I'm going to hurt you because of who you are. And I think for a lot of people who I would like to stand by American optimism to think that a lot of people in this country are very, very decent. We have a very peaceful society here compared to other countries. I think that that's where it's crazy. It's where it kind of, woke me up a little bit. And I went, okay, now it's violent. And
Right.
now that in itself, that act of violence is already where I'm going to start digging now. It disagrees with me. Had we been civil about it, I probably still would have been probably more center left, like any other average Joe. But when it becomes violent, that's when things are more than civil. There's no longer civil discourse in that regard.
Right. Yeah, and I thought it was so I had already begun to be red pilled when the Charlottesville riots happened, and
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, I had already kind of had my eyes open to the truth about the media, but I thought it was so interesting during that time that when Charlottesville happened, what we heard were liberals going absolutely crazy and just screaming for like 2 weeks about how it was an obligation for everybody on the right to denounce the KKK, that we must denounce the KKK. And if you do not denounce the KKK, you're complicit. Now, since Charlottesville, we have seen numerous examples of Antifa. First of all, their numbers rising, their violent acts becoming more intense, more omnipresent. We're seeing these things. I have yet to hear anyone on the left denounce Antifa. And if you ask them to, all I ever seem to get from people is, well, they're fighting fascism.
Yeah, that is definitely something that is the common rhetoric that is pushed forward by the left. It's something that I've also thought about a lot. I fortunately, and this is where I'm extremely blessed, in that I was born in a different country. I was granted a perspective that most Americans probably don't have as a young person. Living in China, living in Malaysia has given me experiences that I can bring now that I'm older and more mature and able to see things as they are. And I'm glad that I have the enrichment of that experience. Now, where I'm getting at is the fact that I'm able to see comparisons. I compare Antifa as being the modern day KKK, or you could say the Red Guards of communist China, and that anything that was not in line with Chairman Mao's beliefs or his quotations was, destroyed, and people were harmed and literally ripped out of their homes. Antifa is essentially doing that. Now, granted, I would like to think that the United States is a lot more of a civilized society than some of these countries, which is why it's not that extreme. But we see so many commonalities here. I mean, the censorship of free speech in itself is one aspect of fascism. Antifa in itself is very ironic, and I'm not sure what kind of fascism they're fighting when all people are doing is just expressing their opinions openly.
Well, I think what they need is like a really good mirror. That's what you know what I mean. If they want to fight,
I mean, they're all masked. They're going out attacking people. They attacked a peaceful group of protesters in San Francisco recently who were, I guess, what were they doing? They were talking about Tommy Robinson when he was locked up. All they were doing was saying, "Pray for Tommy." They were not doing anything else. And this was in my neighborhood in San Francisco. So crazy.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that too, because you're right there in the belly of the beast, kind of sort of like I am here on the other coast in New York City. So tell us about it. What's life like in San Francisco now that you've been red pilled?
I will say this, Brandon. I am not going to say that my experiences have been horrible. The amazing thing about Walking Away, as it was evidenced not only by your video and what you already talked about earlier, is that there's just this amazing support system of people who feel the same way. That in itself is empowering. And although my personal life has been altered and that maybe there are certain people who don't agree with me and have decided to part ways with me, I don't think any less of them. As a matter of fact, I just think that the only thing we can do as people is to speak our truths and not force it down anybody's throats. I'm very fortunate that I have not been attacked yet, hopefully never, and I have not really been challenged in public. but it has affected my personal and professional relationships with people, unfortunately. The nice thing is that I don't think people, at least my closest friends who do disagree with me, have denounced me. Maybe we can't be seen together necessarily, but we can at least still get along. So I will say that my experiences haven't been horrible. Although it's not been great, it hasn't been the worst thing. And what it gives me so much courage and what empowers me a lot is just seeing all these videos and people like you and so many like-minded individuals, not just in the United States, but around the world, because this is happening in many, many countries, a lot of Western countries, developed countries.
That makes me really happy what you just said about, having that sort of system of support now in place, which I think that's exactly what I wanted this campaign to be. Zach, you are blowing up the comments. I mean, you're like
I told everybody to come watch. You're
like the conservative Bieber. Well, do you consider yourself a conservative now?
I will say this about that term conservative, just because it has so many different meanings. I am somebody who is constitutionally conservative. I think of my, Christian faith and my values as being my moral compass. However, you could say that I'm more like socially libertarian in that regard. Now, again, these are things that are constantly changing. At the end of the day, having that aspect of being constitutionally conservative is all about preserving what we have here in America and making it, the best place to live for all Americans, and that's the bottom line at the end of the day. Like I said, I've lived in Muslim countries, more communist countries. Believe me when I say this, what we have here in America is worth fighting for and worth defending.
I agree with you, Zach. I agree completely. And I think that you, much like my guest last week, Magdalene Rose, I love that you, I think, are such a wonderful representation of this point of view.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But specifically for young people, because we need more voices like yours speaking out and speaking to young people. And one of the things that I want to accomplish with the WalkAway campaign is that I want to assemble a team of incredible, dynamic, and really impactful WalkAway speakers and get them out in those college campuses and get them out in, at rallies and public speaking events so that these points of view get heard, so that there is this point of view that's heard more often. And Zach, I think that I would love for you to be one of those people. I hope that you'll join my team when that happens.
Well, count me in. I'm all down for the cause.
All right.
I appreciate you saying that. It means a lot.
You're welcome. JC says we must stay united, and DM says yes. And Tammy McKinney is saying vote the red tsunami. Daryl says I live 60 miles from SF. SF is a no-go zone for me.
Oh no.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But no, they're loving you, Zach. They're loving you. So listen, before we sign off with you, I want to ask the question, Zach, will you come to the WalkAway March on Washington and be a speaker at the March on Washington? Will you come up on the stage and speak to the people?
Oh, I will be there 100% if I have to walk. No pun intended.
You're not going to walk, Zach.
I'm not going to walk.
We're going to get you there. You don't worry.
All right.
So that's that. Listen, guys, I'm 2 for 2. This is incredible. Mason Weaver speaking at the WalkAway March on Washington. Zach Hing speaking at the WalkAway March on Washington. This event is going to be incredible. You guys are not going to want to miss it. Zach, you and I are going to be friends for a long, long time. It's so great to meet you. I'm so glad to know you now. Thanks
it's a real honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much, Brandon. I really, really, it means a lot, you saying that.
No problem. And you and I are going to stay in touch for a long time. So thanks for coming on tonight, Zach. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So guys, listen, we're going to take a quick break. But before we do, I just want to announce during the break, you're going to see something really special tonight. This was sent to me in my email today by Herman Cain. This is a special message to all of you from Herman Cain. Let's take a look.
Hello, I'm Herman Cain, and I have a special message for you. Last month, while I was in Washington, D.C. announcing our new America Fighting backpack, I met a gentleman by the name of Brandon Straka, who started a movement called #WalkAway. Yep. He and many others are walking away from the Democrat Party. Why? They understand that the Democrat Party is no longer about democracy. It's about socialism. So Brandon and his group, they are having an event in Washington, D.C. on October the 26th through the 28th, with the WalkAway March taking place on Saturday, October the 27th. He wants you to be there because he wants you to be a part of this march for two reasons. Not only to help inspire you to walk away from policies that you don't believe in, but to walk with those of us who understand what this fight is all about. If you would like to attend, go to walkawaymarch.com. That's walkawaymarch.com. Sign up and register. I want you to be there. Brandon wants you to be there. You need to be there so we can send a message to the media mob that we aren't going to take it anymore. I'm Herman Cain, chairman of Americans Fighting Back.
That was Herman Cain letting you guys know something that he thinks is very important, and that is that you need to be at the WalkAway March on Washington from October 26th through the 28th. And listen, I'm just going to go ahead and call it. I'm going to put, this is 1, 2, 3 notches over here. I'm putting Herman Cain is actually going to be speaking remotely at the event as well. So we're going to have our Jumbotron screens there at the staging for the rally. And Herman Cain, who was unable to make it because he's a good man, and he had made a prior agreement to do a prayer event in Atlanta, Georgia. And he said, I can't let these people down. I already made a commitment to them. And I said, Herman Cain, I totally get it. You're a good guy. So he's going to actually be joining us remotely at the march. So that's 3 for 3. 3 of my guests tonight are coming to the march on Washington. Incredible. Now, my next guest, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. This is going to be the comic relief portion of the show. Let's just go ahead and put that out there right now. So the other night I was on Facebook, or excuse me, I was on YouTube. And what was I looking for? I was looking for something, but I ended up, it was one of those things where I ended up in a rabbit hole. One thing led me to another thing, and one thing led me to another thing. And then I found a video that was talking about me being banned on Facebook. And that video led me to another video about me being banned on Facebook. And that video led me to this next video. And when I saw this video, I watched it twice in a row because I was laughing so hard. And then I immediately said, Rob, I called my producer, Rob. I said, Rob, we've got to get her on the show on Monday. So Rob, let's take a look at just a clip of her video.
Guys, guess what? They banned Brandon Straka, the gay guy from New York who started the WalkAway campaign back in May. I am spitting nails right now. I do not know what the heck it's going to take for all of you people to understand what exactly is going on here. And if you want to come back at me with some lame-ass excuse about how it's a private company and they can do what they want to do and all that other bull crap you want to spew, you see what's going on. You know that we're not idiots. The hell is wrong with you people? Are you going to defend this? I swear, I have a lot of Democrat friends out there, and you know you're out there, you liberal socialist people. You are still my friend on Facebook, and I swear to God, I hope you see this. I want you to come and talk to me about this. Tell me what you think about this. Do you not think this is wrong? And if you don't think it's wrong, I want you to tell me why you think it's right. Change my mind. This is bullshit, and you all know it. We're going to a rally October 26th, and we're all leading up to it, and he's worked his butt off for this for a long time, for the American people. And I don't give a damn if you don't like him for whatever reason, because he's not a Democrat and he's not going to vote for you. Well, freaking too bad. Listen, this is going to make us dig our heels in so much further. You have no idea. None.
All right. I mean, she's already blowing up the comments. There's like, she's getting tons of Yes, yes, yes. People, if someone just wrote "Change my mind." I think we have a new T-shirt that we're going to be printing for the rally. Change my mind, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome Edie to the show. Edie Cornelius, how you doing, Edie?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hi,
I'm
sweet.
serious though. It is bullshit. It's bullshit, right?
I definitely think it's bullshit. I'm 100% with you on this. Believe me, I was using language a lot more coarse than that when it happened to me. Now, let's just start at the beginning. Now, why were you so pissed off, Edie? What happened?
I had been watching all this progress from, Diamond and Silk when they were with Zuckerberg and at the Judiciary Committee. And then I researched a bunch of stuff and they're shadow banning people on Twitter. I watched David Harris Jr. Devastated because they were taking his ads away and, because he was talking about something. And then that happened. I had it. I had freaking had it. It was just, it's such bullshit because I know these people are not stupid. And I know it doesn't take rocket science. They all the government people too on Twitter, congressmen and everybody, they're all being shadow banned. And it's like, you see this. Do you not see this? I know you freaking see this. So I was just really upset because I knew it was just bullshit. And I wanted them to tell me how they thought that was right. It's not.
But Edie, they do think you're stupid. And they think I'm stupid. They think we're all stupid. I mean, they do think that we're stupid.
Well, I have news for them. We're not stupid. And they can kiss my ass. I'm sorry, but it's true because really, we aren't stupid and we see it. We see it every day. James Woods now, again, he's been banned. He's not even on there. He's banned off of it. I don't know when he's going to be coming back or if he's going to be coming back. It's fascism. It really is. They're just silencing people's voices. And the thing that made me really pissed off the most was because this was just weeks before our march coming up you worked on so long. And that just really, really made me mad because...
Go ahead. Yeah. And believe me, I agree with you because, one thing I'm actually very proud of about this campaign is that we have really created everything organically ourselves since the very beginning. I mean, I have to this day have not spent a dime on like social media promotion or anything like, paid ads. We don't do that because this is something we're giving a message that so many people organically want that we actually don't even have to do that. And so we've been doing the crowdfunding for the March on Washington weekend, and we were doing so great, Edie. I mean, we were at the point where we're doing about $8,000 to $12,000 a day towards our goal because we're trying to raise $500,000 for this march. It was going, and I got to this point where I was like, we're not even going to have to approach donors. We're fine because if we were making about $8,000 a day, we would make our goal, and we would have been fine. They imposed this ban on me, which made it impossible for us to communicate. And since I've been back, what they've done, they got very clever. They lifted my ban after the media caused a ruckus and after the conservative community caused a ruckus. But what they've done now is placed a restriction on me and a restriction on most of the people in the group so that we can only see posts by our friends. So it's basically rendered the whole point of the group pointless. And since then, we're not able to crack more than about $2,000, $2,500 a day in our fundraising.
I've watched this happen to you and with you. Each day I watch you and I've watched this evolve. I was one of the people that was in the group that I had to prove that I was a real person. Right. And they did it to hundreds of us in there. Thousands. It's a lot of people. I was one of them, like fascist book put us in jail for however long. And I'm not seeing posts. I have something weird going on my Facebook where I'll load my homepage and I can see like something is coming up and then it all of a sudden switches. And I'm not getting all my notifications or anything because I'm very active on social media. These people are just pissing me off. I mean, really a lot pissing me off.
I don't want to make things worse, but I am going to share I am going to share something now that while we were just on this last break with the Herman Cain video, my dad sent me a text. And in the text, he said, "I just thought you should know this. I went to type in Facebook and I typed in FAC for Facebook. And this is what popped up on Google after he typed in FAC. I don't think you're going to be able to see this, but I will post this later on the page. It's a message here in the address bar, and the message reads, and I will post this: Facebook is now bot checking WalkAway campaign group. That's what it says right there. My dad just sent this to me. Facebook
is bot checking.
Is now bot checking the WalkAway campaign group.
I'm not a robot. I have my shirt on.
You know, this is
nuts.
I told my dad, do it again and send me a really good picture, because I'm going to tweet this out. And I think this is going to be the next thing that hits the media, because this is, I mean, they are making it so blatantly obvious that we are being targeted, Edie. And
yes, they are. It's really bad.
What are we going to do about it?
I don't know, but I'm pissed. I'll do whatever I can, whatever it takes. It is your father's correct. I mean, it's gotten to the point where you can't even search for certain things that, like, I love to do a lot of research and go in depth and find out what's really the truth about things. So I know when I have conversations with people, and because I have a lot of conversations with people on social media every single day. And so I'll go into search boxes and it'll be pages and pages and pages and pages before I'll even get to anything conservative or dealing with positivity towards conservatism. It's really bad. It's really bad.
See, and this is a tactic that they use, even like what my dad just sent me, because what they do is, even if they're not necessarily specifically placing a ban or placing a restriction, they plant that seed in people's minds. So for someone who's not my dad, who knows that the campaign is real, and knows, they type that in and they think, WalkAway campaign, Russian bots. It starts becoming connected in people's minds, that they're like, oh, well, that's a Russian bot thing. That's a Russian bot. This is not an accident. They do this kind of stuff.
Yes, and when the Russian bot thing started, whatever that study was that somebody did, I had friends that I have had for years on Facebook and everything posting that were Russian bots. And I immediately went to them and said, hello, no, we're not. Some people still use it. I still see it on Twitter, even today. Yeah, people are claiming.
Hamilton 68. That's what it's called.
Yes, that's it. 68. That's the one. It's crazy.
It's a complete joke. But Edie, regardless, okay, all the negativity aside, I loved your video. I think it's hilarious. Now, tell people, do you have a YouTube channel?
I do. It's Recap Zone. RECAPZONE.
Recap Zone.
Is my website, but yes, Recap Zone. And you can also find me on Facebook at Recap Zone, and Edie Cornelius is my my Facebook and everything that's going on. So it's really good. Yeah.
Okay, say that. Say
gotta get the word out.
Say your Twitter handle one more time, because your signal got wonky right as you were saying that.
My Twitter handle is RecapZone1. Twitter.com RecapZone1. Can you hear me? I think.
Yeah, it sounded like you were going to say more. All right, so listen, Rob's telling me to read comments. And so here I go. Hazel Twig says she is a bot. Linda Reedy Owen says, oh yeah, their Twitter is doing it also. Like someone said earlier, they have too much power. Yes, they do. They have way too much power. Edie, I'm going to, well, let me ask you the question of the day. Will we see you at the WalkAway March on Washington?
Yes, I'm going. And actually 4 of my friends here in the Nashville, Tennessee area are going. We're driving up. We're getting on a road trip. We will be there. Yes.
It's going to be like
with
the
bells on.
Yes. And a little birdie told me that you may also be going to the gala dinner on Friday night.
Yeah, I just bought my ticket today, but I don't know what to wear. You guys tell me I don't know what to wear. A little black dress. I don't know. It's October.
Wear that shirt. And
to the gala. Okay, you need to. And here's another thing, Brandon. You need to start telling people, like, is it going to be casual? Is it going to, or is it, black tie? Is it, because people are asking a lot about that and they don't know.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. We'll get that out right away. Yes.
Yeah.
The truth is, I'm kind of like fighting my my coordinator, her name is Tracy, and she's like,
Yeah.
it's black tie, it's black tie, it's black tie. And I'm like, I don't want to dress up that much. And she's like, you have to, it's black tie. So I think she's going to win out. It's going to be black tie, but it has
Okay, good. So at least we know. So now I know what I need to wear or what I'm going to wear.
I say wear that shirt, a sensible pair of heels, and a nice updo, and you're going to be just fine.
Thanks, Brandon. I appreciate it.
Tonight. Everybody follow Edie on social media and go to her YouTube channel, which is what again?
Recap Zone.
Recap Zone, and subscribe to her channel. And you guys subscribe to mine too. Hello. I mean, a lot of you haven't. I've like 180,000 people in the WalkAway campaign on Facebook alone and 16,000 subscribers on YouTube. Something's wrong. Subscribe, you guys. Edie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brandon.
See you in Washington.
You too. I'm excited.
Nice.
Bye.
All right, and now it's time for the best segment on the show. It's our media mogul, Maria Albanese, who's going to tell us all the news that the media isn't telling us. She's going to keep us informed and tell us what we need to be reading and researching and looking into next. Maria, welcome to the show.
Good evening. How is everyone?
Hey, sweetie.
Hey.
I think everyone's good, and they're always so happy to see you, Maria. People are already getting excited. Maria, what is the news not telling us? What do we need to know?
Well, there's a lot of things that they are telling us today, because I think you saw it was a big day today with the tease. Is Rosenstein fired? Did he quit? Did he resign? He's meeting with the president. So they're toying with us with that. And then, of course, you saw what's going on with Kavanaugh.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that, because I kind of did a rant today on my afternoon radio show. What the news isn't telling you a lot is about the second accuser, who was a 2004 senior fellow with the Soros Foundation. And they found that out through Open Societies. So really? A lot of this stuff that I talk about is posted on my Facebook page, the Citizen Pundit. So if it's not on this page, you're going to see it over there. I also shared a letter that Dianne Feinstein had released that Blasey Ford had sent to Feinstein. And you will see in this letter, oddly enough, in the second paragraph, the font is different.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It looks like you could clearly see that it looks like something was monkeyed with. Oh, did I say monkey?
You are a racist. And we just had oh my God, we had a Chinese person on the show tonight, and we had a black person on the show tonight. You said the word monkey.
I am so sorry if you get banned.
This show's going to get pulled now.
But I am telling you, these are all the hokey things that you will find on Twitter, but you're not going to hear them on the mainstream media. But I did go on a rant about what they're doing to Kavanaugh. I was really angry. I don't know if anybody knows that Martha McCallum interviewed the Kavanaughs tonight at 7 o'clock. Did you know about that?
I did not. No.
Yeah, I didn't watch it because I saw a clip of it earlier, and it was to me a national disgrace that they interview this man with his wife, and they make him admit that he was a virgin until his 20s. Is this something that a SCOTUS of the United States here is being asked these kind of disgusting questions?
It's so ridiculous. And, I had a chance to, because, I've been very busy, but I did have a chance to read over this second accuser's story. And listen, I'm not one to, just because I'm not one to like take a partisan side and just, if there's evidence, I'll listen to the evidence, and I know that you're the same way, Maria, because you always talk all the time. You say there's bad Republicans out there and we need to get rid of them, But I was reading this woman's story, and she was talking about being wasted at a college party and something about a fake plastic penis. And then next thing she knew, she thought she was seeing a real penis. She's not sure if it was Brett Kavanaugh's penis or not, but she's pretty sure she remembers it being his hips. And it's the most outlandish story I've ever heard in my life.
The fact that they're entertaining any of this is so disrespectful to us that we have to watch this mockery. And I had said earlier today on the radio show I did, because the host had asked me, he thought that it was making the Republicans look really good, that they kept extending and giving her this opportunity to come in and tell this story from almost 40 years ago. My answer to that was they were generous once. When she didn't come in, when she didn't come in, game over. Game over. So about an hour or so after I did that show, McConnell did come on, and he was on the Senate floor today, and he's starting to play a little bit of hardball that Thursday's it. They're going to go for the vote. I'm betting that she does not show up on Thursday. A friend of mine, Timothy Shea, who is a great pundit friend of mine, calls her boozy blonde. and another great quote that he says is he knows two things, that the midterms are November 6th and President Trump knows that the midterms are November 6th. So we should have a lot of great stuff. And I have to plug Bannon again.
Do it.
He was over in Europe and had a great speech, and that is up on my Citizen Pundit page, about a half an hour speech. I think everybody will learn a lot from it as usual. And Trumpet War is still out there playing. And I would hope that in the next few weeks, we're all going to have links to it. But go to Trumpet War on Twitter, on Facebook, go to Citizens of the American Republic, where you could also see the Bannon information and the speech from this weekend.
Just for anybody who may be tuning in, maybe for the first time or is kind of new to our show here, it's important for everyone to know that Maria has a little political crush on Steve Bannon. So anywhere she can find to fit that man into the conversation, you're going to hear about Steve.
This is a man that is fighting for the deplorables every day. He's trying to hammer home that everything is done on the backs of the deplorables. And we get no recognition. When you look at the majority of this country, it's working America. This is what voted for Donald Trump. And this is a vital election. I will say it every week up until the midterms.
Please do. Tell us what we need to hear about that election.
We need to show up and we need to vote red, 100%. We have to act like it's 2016. Now, after November 6th, we're going to have different fights. It's going to be constant fights. But at least if we have the House and the Senate and we don't lose anything and we gain, then President Trump can really get his agenda completed, which is what we voted him to do. The Democrats, their heads are exploding. This is why they're unhinged. This is why they're not keeping it a secret. They have these meetings. People have infiltrated their meetings with we can't even say resistance anymore. It's just pure obstruction.
That's it. Yes, they're obstructionists.
What they're doing. They're trying to beat us into submission mentally, physically, until we all just throw up our hands and say, we can't do it no more. You know, we're not going to be on social media. It's not going to happen. We are still fighting.
Look at the energy of the guests on this show tonight alone. I mean, these tactics are clearly backfiring. I mean, these people are fired up. I mean, Mason Weaver, I like, no offense to Mason, but the man's got some years on me. And I was like, I would not want to fight with Mason Weaver tonight.
It's fierce. It's the passion. And Edie was right. Every single thing they do to us just makes us angrier. And when we get angry, then we want to fight. And we don't fight the way they fight. We don't fight in the streets. We don't break windows. We don't set cars on fire. We show up in numbers and we vote.
That was me pulling the lever.
I want everybody on November 6th, wear your red, because you can't wear Trump, you can't wear MAGA. Wear red and take out your phones and please record the lines, because they're going to lie to us. The exit polls are going to lie to us. All of the polls leading up are going to lie to us. But this is what we did in 2016. We were mobilized to show on social media how long the voter lines were on election day, because they were lying to us. We have to do it again, because if we have voter fraud and you're in a certain district and they report the numbers wrong, somebody there will have the evidence. Look how many people. And the only way we will be able to identify who was actually voting red will be wearing red.
I love it.
It's our way. It's our way of beating the system. We have to go around mainstream media. We just have to keep fighting. November 6th will tell how strong we are. And our deplorable basket is now fuller with all of the walkaways.
Well, okay, that was gonna be my last question for you tonight is, got it, Rob, is for these walkaways. There's so many people who are walking away from the Democratic Party. This is something that they believed in their whole lives. Many of them are walking away from the ideology of liberalism. They believed in it their whole lives, and they can say, look, I can't be a Democrat anymore because I can no longer abide what's going on the left. But I don't want to be a Republican. That doesn't sound right to me.
You don't have to per se be a Republican. But we do need you to vote red to not give up the seat to a Democrat. If you're walking away from the Democrats, you, as Trump would say and Mason said, what do you have to lose?
Right.
Vote, and let's see if this wonderful project that we started in 2016 with a non-establishment candidate actually works. This is what we want to see him accomplish, all that he feels and says. And we do know the man has an ego, right?
That's right.
But what feeds him? Doing good feeds him.
Yeah. And success. I think successful.
Doing good for this country is what keeps his motivation going.
Right.
So imagine how much more he can get done in 2 years without the obstructionists, without the Russiagate, without the nonsense.
Maria, the people are just going crazy right now. They're saying vote, vote. They're saying, yes, I'm going to wear red on voting day. JC says, trust the plan. DM says, vote red. Personally, no, oh, that went by too fast. I wanted to read that one too. DG says, you have to vote red so we can change from rhino to true conservatives.
Very good.
Yes. Very good. Vote red, vote red.
We could fight the rhinos in the next 2 years.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So let's end it on this question, Maria. Going back again to these walkaways, they may be asking, well, you know, I'm not a Democrat anymore. But I can't consider myself a Republican. What if I just don't vote?
It's a vote for a Democrat. Clearly.
Say it because I love it when you say this. This is my favorite thing. A non-vote
is a vote for a Democrat.
That's right. So
every vote we do not get is a vote for a Democrat.
So everybody must get out and vote on November 6th. And for those of you who are new walkaways who have recently left the left, you know what? We're going to start a discussion group about this on the Walkaway campaign page. This is important because I know a lot of people are not feeling comfortable about voting Republican. This will be the first time in my life I voted Republican. But I'm actually enthusiastic about doing it. But I know a lot of people who have recently left the left are not. I mean, if I know what they're going through. It's a sense of betrayal. They feel like they're betraying their values. But guys, that's not what this is about. It's just like Maria just said. This is not about betraying your principles. This is not about embracing something that you're not yet ready to embrace. This is about a vote against what the left has become. And this is a vote against obstructionism. This is a vote against obstructing the path that we're currently on, which is such a great path towards national sovereignty, and we're against socialist values. We're against communist values. This is what the Democratic Party wants for our future. So you're not voting for the Republican Party. You're voting against the Democrat platform, which is completely, as all of our guests have clearly talked about tonight, is only a dangerous platform for our country going forward.
And let's show them with all the big, dark, deep money they have behind them that they had in 2016. Donald Trump had very little compared to what Hillary Clinton raised. She lost.
Right.
There, with all the money that they put behind these resistance obstruction groups, let's show them that with no money, we can still win.
I love it.
It doesn't cost us anything to vote.
I love it.
But they have busloads of people that are going to the protests at the courthouse. They are so mobilized in these last 2 years, spending millions of dollars to do what they're doing. And if we have our red tsunami, it cost us nothing.
Gidget the Surfer Girl 1 says, no longer the silent majority. That is music to my ears. I've been saying that since the beginning. It's time for the silent majority to become unsilent. Maria was just talking about the funding and the support in the background on the left. I do want to say that Kavanaugh's accuser was able to raise over $200,000 in just over 24 hours on GoFundMe from liberal donations. We're still trying to raise money for the WalkAway March on Washington. So for the conservative community, please give us some support. You can go to walkawaymarch.com, click on fundraising, and make a donation. And or you can also go to paypal.me/US minority if you'd like to make a contribution through PayPal. But please, guys, please consider helping us because we're doing so great. We're facing a lot of suppression right now on social media. So we really, really need as much help as people are able to give us right now with contributions to the WalkAway March on Washington. It's October 26th through the 28th. It's going to be an incredible weekend. Let's just go over one more time before we sign off. You saw our incredible guest tonight. We're going to have Zach Hing speaking. He was my second guest tonight. My first guest, Mason Weaver, is going to be speaking. Dinesh D'Souza, Stacey Dash, Bill Mitchell, Brandon Dilley, Joy Vila, Scott Pressler, Magdalene Rose, that incredible young girl that was on the show last week, 18-year-old conservative girl, amazing voices that we're going to have at the WalkAway March on Washington. Please go to walkawaymarch.com, register on Eventbrite, and consider making a contribution because we're trying to raise all the funding ourselves. It's not an inexpensive venture, but it's going to be so worth it when we make that huge, impactful statement right before the midterms that people are walking away. African Americans, LGBT, the Asian community, the Hispanic community, all of these groups that have been targeted by the Democratic Party and that the Democratic Party has taken for granted for so long. We are walking away. And I'm going to end the show on that note tonight. As always, I say, next week's guests. Thank you so much, Rob, for throwing that in just as I was hitting my stride to close out the show. Our guests for next week are going to be another amazing WalkAway March speaker, Buzz Patterson. He carried the nuclear football for 2 years during the Clinton administration. He is spilling the tea about the Clintons. He is letting us know everything that has been going on with the Clintons, and we're going to hear all of it next week with the incredible Buzz Patterson. I've been talking to him all week on the phone. I love this man. I kind of want to marry him, but that's a different story. We're also having JT Wild on the show. He is a singer who's created this incredible song. Okay, I always screw up this acronym. Rob, can you write the acronym on the dry erase board? WWG1WGA. When we go one, we go all. So this is a song by JT Wild. This song is so dope. It's going to completely go viral. And I want you to know that you heard it here first, because when you watch WalkAway with Brandon Straka, you are getting cutting edge material, information, and the best guests on any show that there are. So keep tuning in. We're going to have an amazing show next week. WalkAway with Brandon Straka. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I'll close off by saying, as always, I am walking away, and I encourage all of you to do the same. Walk away. Have a great night, everybody.
They call us deplorable, and we love the name. They got the bodies in the dirt and need someone to blame. Got a penchant for greed and money to spare. They put the dollars in the coffers and the lies in the air. Well, we go one, we go all. I won't push you down, you won't let me fall. One day for sure we will stand tall. Where we go one, we go all. We are the patriots, trust the plan, because we have it all, and the fate is in our hands. Had a reason to